Welcome back, nerdy movie fans. So we're going to talk about the first episode of Daredevil Born Again Season 2. Now, there's really a lot to unpack. It had a pretty action-packed opening. We got a little bit of layers peeled back from a lot of the characters. This episode isn't filler, but it's sort of reintroducing us to these ideas of all these different characters. And so I think the first thing I want to talk about is how cool it is that we're getting more and more Daredevil projects. If you think about it, when they first wanted to introduce Daredevil and Daredevil characters into the MCU, it's pretty cool. We started getting more and more characters over and over and over again. It started picking up. I could be wrong, but I believe the very first appearance of Daredevil characters within the MCU, I believe, was the second to last episode of Hawkeye Season 1, when we get a glimpse of Wilson Fisk as Kingpin. And then I think that came out on like a Wednesday, and then the Thursday release for No Way Home, obviously we get Matt Murdock appears again. And I can't remember if Hawkeye and No Way Home had come out before or after She-Hulk. She-Hulk also had Daredevil in it for an episode. I think maybe a couple episodes. And then also we got the series Echo, who Kingpin was in that series, of course, as well. And now we got Born Again Season 1. Now we got Born Again Season 2. Punisher's getting his own project. And now Punisher's also in Spider-Man. So not only do we have Born Again Season 2 now, but if I'm not mistaken, I think they're either about to start filming or at the very least already have it planned to film Daredevil Born Again Season 3. I think it is confirmed they are doing a third, even though it could be a little ways after Doomsday or even Secret Wars. It could be a while, but I think they are making it. And so to see the fans sort of rally behind these Daredevil characters, I think it's just really cool, because obviously we're seeing so many of these characters are fan favorites. And not only that, now with Born Again Season 2, even though she wasn't in this episode, we know Jessica Jones is coming back in one of the upcoming episodes this season. And there's rumors and leaks and teases. There's always going to be rumors, leaks, and teases that Luke Cage is supposed to be in some sort of upcoming Daredevil adjacent project, which, whether he is or not, I think would be really cool to slowly start reintroducing the Defenders, even though everyone really has their own opinion on Iron Fist. It wasn't my favorite of these Defenders characters. However, it would be cool to see all four of the Defenders team up again in some form or fashion. So moving on from that, in Daredevil Born Again Season 2, like I said, the opening is pretty action-packed. And what's pretty cool about this one is Daredevil, it's almost like he stopped pulling his punches. It's just, I like to try and notice the really hidden details in things that my brain can comprehend. And in this opening fight scene with Daredevil on this ship fighting the crew, presumably people running some sort of errand for Fisk, we see as he's beating people, as he's snapping bones, as he's breaking, as you see blood rushing from whatever injury he's caused, we see Daredevil is just shouting primal scream. I mean, the way it's shot, I interpret it as he's fighting so hard, he is exhausting himself fighting essentially goons. I mean, he's just fighting a handful of people here, and it looks like he's exerting all of his force and strength into beating up these guys. So we're getting the sense that he's just absolutely tired of Kingpin's bullshit. I mean, it's not only him. After this action-packed opening, I believe one of the first few scenes after is we see him in his hideout with Karen Page, who's also now training to fight a little bit. And she is very supportive in going after Fisk in any way possible. And she seems exhausted too. In the Netflix seasons, Karen Page sort of is like the glimmer of hope almost, where Daredevil is more of this needs to be done in a vigilante style kind of way, where for Karen it's more about let's find a way to legally try and bring him down. Whereas in this season, they're both yep, we're a team, let's get this done. We're done with Fisk. So it seems like all these characters that these storylines have been building up to is all pushing toward one really big showdown, as teased in the trailer for this season. Now, there are some parts of this that sort of feel like they're being dragged for the runtime a little bit. So Daniel Blake, this guy that sort of is in this almost being mentored by Fisk, almost in a type of way. We see that Bibi, Ben Urich's, believe granddaughter, I believe, she's using him to try to get information on Kingpin. So she is now working with Karen Page. Whether or not she knows she's working with Matt Murdock and or Daredevil or not, she is now on the offensive to take Fisk down as well. And so it just goes to show that there are so many other characters that have sort of been in the background for so long that are now stepping up to try and go after Kingpin. We see his anti-vigilante task force is also taking its toll on the city, as Fisk is trying to present the city is safer now because of it. But the people of New York are like, no, we're not. And so you just have all this sort of this chaos, sort of butting heads between all these characters and these groups and everything Fisk is doing. And so it definitely feels like everything is unraveling, not only for Fisk, but for our characters as well. This season didn't start out as, let's have a lawyer character try to go after a mobster. This is very much vigilante versus villain, which I think is cool, because that's sort of where the series has always been leading to. As I say series, I include the Netflix seasons, including Defenders and including Born Again Season 1. I think Defenders has to be included based off of, for any other fact, that the Hand was in Defenders. They were the main villains, and now the Hand is in Spider-Man, Brand New Day. So there's going to be correlation. Defenders will end up not being useless in the long run anyway. So even though I know people sort of throw that in with Iron Fist as one of the weaker seasons between the Netflix Marvel shows that they had made, irregardless, the Hand being back is going to matter in some form or fashion. So as I'm trying to gather my thoughts for this, the one character that almost feels like doesn't really serve much of a purpose, which is unfortunate because I don't think it really has anything to do with the actress, but the character of Heather, basically the psychiatrist for Fisk now. Her role in this is sort of getting bogged down into this sort of trope that I don't feel like is really going to go anywhere, and it just bores me. And here's why. So we have Jack Duquesne. He is swordsman. He is being questioned by Heather, saying, do you have thoughts about this or that? And she's basically just framing him to try to, when he has his trial, say, yep, he's insane, let's put him away. And so the fact that, yes, Fisk has this kind of power, that's his influence to just lie about everything, get him put away, it almost feels like he's being written as almost a scapegoat for, look, we beat a vigilante, so let's put him away. Even though he really didn't do all that much in the grand scheme of things. I think it would have served a better storyline to have swordsmen physically fight Kingpin, and Kingpin have to step in, defeat him himself, and then beat Matt in court or something like that. So the fact that this is just his whole sentencing is based off a questionnaire that she's writing her own answers for is just not really all interesting. It doesn't feel like this earned victory over Jack Duquesne. So I hope that her character gets a lot more storylines to handle later on in the season, because if this is it, I'm just not all invested in her character at the moment. Another character, Hector Ayala, we have White Tiger. His daughter is seen for the season, but not in the episode yet, as far as I remember. So there's that storyline that's yet to come. So there's so much. You watch the trailer and you have all these expectations for episode 1. You don't see all these storylines or characters yet. I think that's because they're saving so much for later. I think the biggest silver lining in this episode was Matthew Lillard's new character, Mr. Charles. Doesn't have a first name yet. And so he's sort of playing this character that works for Allegra de something Fontaine. I can't pronounce her stupid long name. But his first scene is we're under the impression he sort of works for her in some kind of a sense. And so we already have that connection to Thunderbolts, where we're seeing Fontaine is trying to get involved with what's happening in New York because of what happened with the movie in Thunderbolts in New York and with Spider-Man and the Vigilantes. Basically, for this show, Fisk is going after Vigilantes, but it doesn't make sense for most of the other characters to be against them. So we're seeing more and more people clash with Fisk, which is, in my opinion, really cool, because Fisk has evolved as a character much more beyond Matt Murdock's opponent. He's now becoming almost everyone's opponent, it seems, which I feel like raised the stakes for his power over the city and his power over, or his influence over New York and the crime world in general. Like, obviously, we're seeing Fontaine getting involved. We know Jessica Jones is going to get involved. We know we're going to have a new White Tiger involved. So we just have all these characters coming after him, which I think teasing this big showdown is what has so many people hyped right now. Having Daredevil versus Kingpin again is a really exciting moment. So Mr. Charles is basically, he's a very interesting character because obviously Matthew Lillard's acting skills is obviously always so good. So I'm excited to see more of his character. But he's almost challenging Fisk in a way where he knows the roles and he knows how things work, but he has this sarcastic attitude about him in this almost daring Fisk to do something type of way. And so we haven't really seen a character treat Fisk like that, which is pretty interesting. And it's just new to see on screen because we never really see anyone challenge Fisk, or at least not like this, or not in this type of way. And so as I close this video, we'll talk about the ending. We have the Anti-Vigilante Task Force go after Cherry, I think it's Sherry, who works in this law office with Matt Murdock, even though Matt Murdock is in hiding now because Fisk is going after him. Anti-Vigilante Task Force shows up at Sherry's apartment, but Matt Murdock's there to try to stop them. But he ends up getting distracted, and they end up beating Daredevil and take off his mask. So it's a hell of a cliffhanger, but we see they get taken out. The guards get just murdered. And we don't really see who at first, but we see this knife go flying in through the window saying, "You're welcome," and it has Bullseye's call sign on it. So Bullseye is now helping Daredevil. Now, I am seeing people online have theories, whether he's personally trying to help Daredevil, whether he's still working for Vanessa Fisk and she's trying to manipulate Daredevil and Kingpin. I'm seeing there are theories that he's working for Fontaine right now, as if he's up for Thunderbolts, maybe. Really, there's just nothing confirmed about where Bullseye's character stands at this moment. But the fact that he's helping Daredevil is interesting because these are two characters that hate each other. But if they're working together, whether it's forced or not, it's going to be exciting to see on screen. And I'm, for one, looking forward to it. So as I close out this video, obviously, Daredevil, there's so much action figures, Funko Pops, various kinds of apparel. There's all kinds of stuff you can get. I think one of the coolest things I got is from Disney Parks. I got the Daredevil mask right here, which is incredibly cool. It does fit. I can see actually through it. It's red, which go figure. It's pretty cool. But I'm really glad to have this. I'm glad we have a new season of Daredevil, and I can't wait to see where it goes, because although there are people that argue the Netflix version of these seasons were grittier and more violent, I think the storyline evolving to the way it is now is just something that's just sort of needed for characters that last this long. If you're going to have Kingpin be the same villain for so many seasons, you can't create the same level of stakes and showdown every single time. You have to do something different. And that's what last season the Board Again did, is it created Fisk in this new type of role we've never seen him before. And so in this season, we're definitely seeing his grip over the city sort of start to unravel just ever so slightly, little by little. And it's going to be exciting to see, because Daredevil has become one of my favorite characters. And I'm just really excited to see how it all goes down, especially knowing that we're getting more projects with these characters. And this isn't even going to be the end. Even after all this hype for what's going down in this upcoming season finale. So let me know what you think of it so far. I'm invested in these characters, and I think it's pretty cool so far. And I enjoyed myself. I thought it was a fun episode. It was a really solid episode. So let me know what you think. Keep it digging, guys. Till next time.